talking about there's no room for hate, this and that and the other one, and you got a player that's blatantly advocating for violence against far and away your most popular player.
The WNBA finds itself once again in the center of a controversy as Angel Reese continues to throw shade at Caitlin Clark following what was simply a hard basketball play, while the league itself has chosen to paint Indiana Fever as an unsafe environment rather than address the real narrative unfolding before their eyes. This reveals the growing tension between players and the WNBA's troubling tendency to prioritize drama over facts.
Apparently, Angel Reese is looking to sue Caitlin Clark after Clark's brutal technical foul against her the other day. Reese claims that Clark's brutal foul of her was over $10 million in collective damages in terms of the physical pain that was inflicted, the emotional distress that resulted of it, and most importantly, the damage to Reese's brand and her capability to earn more as a WNBA player.
In this age of social media, hot takes, and manufactured outrage, facts have become as rare as empty seats at a Caitlin Clark game. During the season opener between the Indiana Fever and Chicago Sky, with 438 remaining in the third quarter, Angel Reese secured an offensive rebound. What followed was a textbook basketball play that has somehow been transformed into the sports equivalent of a conspiracy theory.
I did not sign up to cover a reality show, to cover drama, to cover politics, to cover race relations when it comes to a league that I thought was a professional basketball league. Unfortunately, this league continues to prove that it's not that, and the media continues to prove that they are not going to cover it as if these are actual athletes playing a sport. They're going to use it to push narratives, to push think pieces, to make the sport into something that it is not.
Caitlin Clark, in pursuit of the ball, struck Reese's arm hard enough to jar the ball loose and knock Reese to the ground. Was it hard? Absolutely. Was it basketball? 100%. But in Angel Reese's universe, a place where basketball courts double as fashion runways and every defensive play is a personal attack, this became something far more sinister.
Caitlin Clark has made the WNBA relevant. Look at how far Angel Reese has come in just the last 12 months. Hell, look at how far Angel Reese has fallen in the last 12 months. Mutual respect has been replaced with disdain.
The officials, after reviewing the play, elevated it to a flagrant one and issued double technical fouls to both players. Clark, displaying the kind of maturity that has defined her career, told ESPN there was nothing malicious about the foul, calling it simply a basketball play. Meanwhile, Reese popped up like a jack-in-the-box at a toddler's birthday party, ready to turn a routine basketball contact into the next great sports drama. But here's where the story gets interesting. And by interesting, we mean absolutely ridiculous. Instead of moving on like a professional athlete who understands that hard fouls are part of the game, Reese decided this was her moment to play the victim card, with the dramatic flair of a soap opera star who just discovered her evil twin.
Crazy. White girl running from the fade. There's Angel Reese right there. There's, of course, Caitlin Clark doing the responsible thing, not wanting to tank her public relations. Like Angel Reese walking away after the take foul the other night, or the other day against the Chicago Sky. But right there, there's the picture. And Angel Reese did, in fact, repost this on TikTok, it looks like, and share it. And I'm like, are you kidding me right now? Or are you kidding me?
If you are enjoying, please subscribe. While Caitlin Clark was busy doing what she does best, dropping dimes, sinking threes, and filling arenas to capacity, Angel Reese embarked on what can only be described as a digital guerrilla warfare campaign. Because apparently, when you can't match someone's basketball prowess or drawing power, the next best thing is to become the WNBA's chief prosecutor of imaginary crimes. The pattern became as predictable as Angel's inevitable social media outburst after every Caitlin Clark highlight. Share a video here, throw some subtle shade there, and suddenly every defensive play becomes evidence of some grand conspiracy against the self-proclaimed Bayou Barbie. It's like watching someone try to convince the world that gravity is personally targeting them every time they trip.
They make up nonsense, they make up lies, and the WNBA validate the lies. The WNBA validates the nonsense. The WNBA validates non-truths by opening up an investigation into the Indiana Fever and the environment.
What's particularly fascinating, and by fascinating we mean deeply concerning, is how someone can transform a routine basketball foul into a months-long social media campaign. You'd think Reese was fouled by Mike Tyson in his prime, not by a 22-year-old point guard who weighs about as much as a golden retriever after a big meal. But this isn't really about the foul, is it? This is about a player who has watched Caitlin Clark become everything she thought she would be. The face of women's basketball, the draw that sells out arenas, the player whose very presence turns a Tuesday night game into a cultural event. And instead of using that as motivation to elevate her own game, Reese chose the path of perpetual victimhood.
But it was very convenient how most of the internet, not all of the internet, most of the internet though, clipped out Angel Reese pushing the Fever girl in back, Caitlin pointing at the ref like, what are we talking about here? We're not calling that. They clipped that out. They just go to right here, bang, Caitlin Clark fouls Angel Reese, and then boom, buzzsaw on the internet about Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese. Ultimately, I think the buzz is good for the WNBA as a whole. I know it's probably not fun to be a part of if you're Caitlin or Angel Reese or anybody else, but in the end, the Indiana Fever win by 100, and Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark have started their second season in the WNBA, and Caitlin Clark is on track to be the greatest of all time.
Now, here's where this story takes a turn from merely disappointing to absolutely infuriating. The WNBA, in all their infinite wisdom, has chosen to ignore Angel Reese's ongoing campaign of shade throwing while simultaneously suggesting that Indiana Fever isn't a safe place for WNBA players to compete. Let that sink in for a moment. The league is more concerned about protecting players from hard basketball plays than they are about addressing the toxic narrative being pushed by one of their own players. This is the same league that benefits enormously from the Caitlin Clark effect. Every time she steps on a court, ticket sales soar, television ratings spike, and suddenly everyone from your grandmother to your mailman has an opinion about women's basketball. But instead of protecting their golden goose, the WNBA has chosen to entertain the delusions of a player whose biggest contribution to basketball discourse seems to be turning routine fouls into federal cases. The league's response, or lack thereof, to Reese's ongoing social media campaign is telling. When Clark gets fouled hard, it becomes a safety issue. When Clark plays physical defense, she's somehow the problem. It's like watching the world's most expensive referee consistently blow calls while wearing a blindfold and claiming perfect vision.
Because it has escalated into something where now there is an investigation going on because there has been hateful fan comments supposedly directed towards Angel Reese, and there were things going on in the arena where now the narrative is back that we heard all last season. The narrative is back that Indiana is not a safe place.
This selective outrage isn't just hypocritical, it's dangerous for the sport. Basketball is a contact sport. Always has been, always will be. From Magic and Bird's legendary battles to Michael Jordan getting knocked around by the bad boy Pistons, great players have always had to deal with physical play. But apparently, in the WNBA's new reality, hard fouls are only acceptable when they're committed against certain players. The most striking aspect of this entire saga isn't the foul itself, or even Angel Reese's theatrical response. It's the stark contrast in how these two players have handled the aftermath. While Reese has spent months cultivating an image as the wronged party in what was clearly a routine basketball play, Caitlin Clark has done what great players do. She's let her game do the talking. Since the incident, Clark has continued to pack arenas like she's giving away free money at the entrance. Basketball fans aren't stupid. They can tell the difference between someone who lives and breathes the game and someone who treats the court like an extension of their personal brand. They can see when a player responds to adversity by working harder, and when another player responds by launching a social media campaign designed to generate sympathy.
And the WNBA is going after and lecturing Indiana Fever fans in this investigation? Are you trying to tell me Angel Reese is not going to get suspended for this, not going to get fined for this? Or is the WNBA too gutless to stand up against things like this, even if it is against a white woman?
Clark's approach to the situation has been nothing short of professional. She acknowledged the foul, explained her perspective, and moved on. No cryptic social media posts, no victim narrative, no month-long campaign to rewrite history. just basketball pure and simple. It's almost like she understands that the best response to any controversy is to be so good at your job that everything else becomes irrelevant. Reese, on the other hand, has turned this incident into her personal Watergate, complete with ongoing investigations, social media evidence, and a narrative so convoluted it would make conspiracy theorists proud. The woman has managed to turn a 3-second basketball play into a months-long grievance that has somehow become her primary contribution to sports discourse. Let's talk about who the real victim is in this manufactured controversy. And spoiler alert, it's not Angel Reese. The real victims are basketball fans who want to enjoy the sport without wading through social media drama manufactured by players who apparently have too much time on their hands and too little perspective on what actually matters.
An entire fan base off of what's been said off the internet. I pray that's not what you're doing right now. Like messages like this, right? We were at this game and it was hard to enjoy with the racism at this game. Angel definitely needs some help, and the CC play was definitely intentional, and the monkey names and noises the Fever fans were referring to Reese was unbearable to sit through. You know it's something when before the game starts there's a message on the big about racism not being tolerated. That's BS. So he may tell me this individual had the time to take the picture right here, right? But didn't have the time to record some of the nonsense that she was witnessing?
The real victims are young girls who look up to these players and are learning that the appropriate response to adversity isn't resilience and hard work, but social media campaigns and victim narratives. They're learning that when someone is more successful than you, the solution isn't to work harder, it's to find ways to tear them down. The real victims are the other WNBA players who are trying to build their careers on actual basketball accomplishments while watching the league's attention get consumed by manufactured drama. These players are working their tails off to improve the league's profile, only to watch it get overshadowed by soap opera storylines that have nothing to do with the quality of play on the court. And perhaps most importantly, the real victim is the sport of basketball itself. Every minute spent discussing Angel Reese's feelings about a routine foul is a minute not spent celebrating the incredible talent, competition, and athleticism these players bring to the court. Every social media post analyzing the deeper meaning behind a hard screen is content that could have been used to highlight the growing skill level and excitement of women's basketball.
To break down the games, we're not going to break down offenses, defensive, situational basketball, game planning for this team, game planning for that team, getting inside the mind of a coach, getting inside the mind of a player. No! This is the WNBA, where we break down WT. And you wonder why nobody takes this league seriously. You wonder why you guys were in the broom closet for the last 25, because we're too worried about WT instead of the actual game. But just look at the double standard, look at the hypocrisy when it comes to the NBA. Oh, we're talking ball. We're talking NBA playoffs. But when it comes to the W, oh, Shanae, oh, Ghoul, McKay, it's all about the T.
This entire situation reveals a fundamental problem with how the WNBA positions itself and its players. The league seems caught between wanting to be taken seriously as a professional basketball organization and wanting to embrace every bit of drama that might generate social media engagement. You can't have it both ways. Professional basketball leagues don't typically allow their players to spend months engaging in public feuds over routine plays without some kind of intervention. Can you imagine if LeBron James spent 3 months posting cryptic Instagram stories every time he got fouled hard? The NBA would shut that down faster than you can say technical foul. But the WNBA seems perfectly content to let this narrative fester, perhaps because any attention is good attention in their minds. The problem with this approach is that it fundamentally misunderstands what actually drives long-term fan engagement. Drama might generate clicks in the short term, but sustained success comes from showcasing elite athletic competition.
I think Caitlin thinks of it as a rivalry at all. I think she just comes to hoop, and she knows that she's got a competitor coming to hoop against her, and she wants to beat her every time she plays against her. I think that it's nothing personal with Caitlin. I think that she loves to go out there and try to win. And you know, she got beat up all last year. She didn't complain. She got up. She kept going. I think Angel feels like she has to prove something, but she don't.
The league's failure to address this situation sends a clear message about their priorities. When they suggest that Indiana Fever isn't safe while ignoring months of social media warfare from one of their own players, they're essentially saying that manufactured controversy is more important than protecting the integrity of competition. This isn't just bad policy, it's bad business. The WNBA has spent years trying to establish itself as a legitimate professional sports league, allowing players to turn routine basketball plays into months-long social media campaigns undermines that legitimacy and reduces the league to the level of reality television. The solution to this mess isn't complicated, but it does require the WNBA to make some hard decisions about what kind of league they want to be. If they want to be taken seriously as a professional basketball organization, they need to start acting like one. They need to establish clear guidelines about how players can and cannot use social media to litigate on-court incidents. The current free-for-all approach, where players can spend months throwing shade without consequence, is unsustainable and unprofessional.
On social media, Angel Reese puts up a tough front. On social media, Angel Reese exudes a false sense of confidence. But just like Denzel Washington said in American Gangster, the loudest one in the room is the weakest one in the room. When you're self-confident, you don't have to constantly remind people. They can see it. When you lack confidence, you have a tendency to overcompensate. And when you're filled with jealousy and bitterness, when you're filled with hatred of someone, you could lose emotional control and do something stupid like this. Check it out for yourself. Angel Reese reposted this to her TikTok account.
They also need to stop treating routine basketball plays as safety crises when it's convenient for their narrative. Basketball is a contact sport, and hard fouls are part of the game. The league's selective outrage about physical play undermines their credibility and creates a double standard that serves no one. And they need to recognize that their biggest stars, the players who actually fill arenas and drive television ratings, deserve protection from manufactured controversies that serve no purpose other than generating social media engagement. Caitlin Clark has single-handedly elevated the profile of women's basketball more than any player in recent memory. The league's failure to protect her from ongoing harassment is both short-sighted and ungrateful. Most importantly, the WNBA needs to remember that basketball success should be measured on the court, not on social media. Angel Reese's ability to generate controversy might create temporary buzz, but Caitlin Clark's ability to fill arenas and inspire young athletes creates lasting value for the sport.
What's funny is Angel and her aren't actually rivals. I think the college rival, WNBA, has realized this is what we can make money off of because of the black-white narrative that was created. So they're just using it. That's why these two are playing game one against each other, but they don't play the same positions or guard each other or nothing. The real rivalry here is Caitlin Clark and Paige Becker. That's the actual real rivalry.
The ongoing saga between Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark and the WNBA's mishandling of the situation represents everything wrong with modern sports discourse. What should have been a routine basketball play, followed by a handshake and mutual respect, has instead become a months-long social media campaign that serves no one except those who profit from manufactured controversy. Angel Reese's decision to turn a hard foul into a personal vendetta says more about her character than any basketball statistic ever could. Her inability to move past a routine basketball play reveals someone more interested in narrative manipulation than athletic excellence. Meanwhile, Caitlin Clark's professional response and continued success on the court demonstrates why she has become the face of women's basketball. The WNBA's failure to address this situation while simultaneously suggesting that teams can't play physical defense reveals a league that has lost sight of its primary mission, showcasing elite basketball competition. Until they remember that basketball success is measured in wins and losses, not social media engagement, they'll continue to undermine their own credibility and the sport they claim to represent.